ending like this.
MLK Day's Monday.
I stopped casting Western movies years ago. It's a dead franchise. I am sorry.
MLK Day's Monday.
I don't have anything for you.
Yo, yo, yo. This is another episode of the Patrick Villafane Show. It's my third podcast. And this one, I'm actually like legit so excited because this is a good friend of mine, my dog, Mikey. And I made this joke to him. I was like, my podcast is finally legit. Because this dude has done so much. Mikey, if you want to say anything to just introduce yourself or like get it kicked off.
I mean, let's just get started. The name's Mikey Spandex. I've done a lot. I've done it myself at this point.
That's so true. One thing I wanted to talk about first was like, so obviously I met you in wrestling, like, because I'm a little bit newer, so I've been wrestling for like 3 years. So I met you when I was just training at the House of Champions. How did you get started in wrestling? Like, or I'm also curious too, like after that, what led you to just popping into schools like the House of Champions?
So, the beginning was 2017. Fresh out of college, starting my career as a school counselor. I always thought wrestling was a pipe dream, and I just, out of curiosity, I had family once do wrestling. I have some family members that wrestle now. But so I just looked up local wrestling schools by me, and there was one about 30 minutes away. And so that was Pro Wrestling 2.0 where I first started. And I originally, when I first started, I just started counseling at the same time, and the school year was coming up. So the plan was to go through the whole school year, and then when the summer came out, I'm off in the summers, I was just going to be head first going in all the time during that time. So I wasn't planning on starting right when I discovered it. And I ended up talking with my buddy Paul, who comes to a ton of my shows, but he's one of my best friends in the world. And we talked about the plan, we talked about the idea, and he just goes, look, it's going to be one of two ways. You stick to the plan, and you do follow through with that, or you just pull the trigger and say, let's do it now. But whichever idea you go with, you make sure you follow through. Otherwise, you're just going to literally regret that you never even gave it a shot. And he was 100% right on that. And I ended up just pulling the trigger right then and there, and I ended up at a wrestling school the following week. And it's been head first ever since. It's been a wild ride.
Dude, that's awesome. I feel like that's how most people do it, because like wrestling is like, I don't know if everyone's aware of the independence or like even that you can just go train, but it looks like something that's like kind of like Hollywood, like entertainment. Like you're either in WWE or like I'm really young, so like when I was growing up, I watched NXT in the Performance Center, like at Full Sail, because my brother went to college there. So I was like, yeah, this is something you got to get hired for. So it's like, who knew that you could just go on Google and just start doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that's changed now. Like, it's so much easier to find a wrestling school now than it was years ago. So I would say the independence, it's definitely more, I guess you could say people are more aware of the independence existing now.
Yeah.
You still have your fair share of majority not knowing it exists or not knowing this was a thing. But it's definitely a lot more out there now than it ever was.
Yeah. Also, awesome thing is like you got to spend some time in WWE, like around like some like people that are like done crazy things in this business. And how was like that experience? And then especially like, because I don't know how long the time was before you did your stint in WWE on the independents, but that transition must have been crazy.
It was so, like, it was a long process, but also it wasn't, because I'll say, like, my true WWE journey, I guess you could say, actually started in, like, early 2019 when I got my first tryout. I had a tryout as a wrestler in 2019, and that was just more so, like, I went to the NXT shows, I went to the Cruiserweight Classic, I went to all those shows as a fan, but that was one of my first experiences there is not one, you know? Like,
yeah.
So it was really weird to... It was definitely one of those surreal moments that was like, pinch me, I'm dreaming. because I'm in the performance center, and
Yeah.
I've never been in there in that capacity before. So it was really interesting to be there in 2019 for my tryout, and then to go back there later where I once had my tryout. It's now the arena for their tapings. It's weird to seeing the transformation, the growth, and to be a part of it from 2019 basically up until 2023, because I still had my fair share of extra work and had a long stint of doing that in 2020 during COVID as well.
Yeah, which is super cool. I remember seeing a video of you guys. It was in like the underground episodes, right?
Yeah.
That was sick. Those clips are awesome. That
was a wild time.
That must feel like a different world, right? Do you have any like funny ribs or like stories that kind of stick with you from that stint that you still think about to this day?
It's just the whole Raw Underground thing in general. Like, it was such a weird idea, but it kind of worked. It just sucks that it stopped the way it did. But, like, I'll never forget just the original conversation of how it all started. It was the whole just, like, we need every single extra in the room. We need you guys to line up and stand there and just wait. And so we waited. And out comes Shane McMahon and Jamie Noble, and we're like, what is going on? And Shane comes out and starts explaining the concept of Raw Underground, and he's like, this is an idea, this is what we're doing. He's like, but we need it to be gritty, we need it to be tough, and we need it to be something different. And he was like, basically, we need 2 guys to volunteer to beat the crap out of each other. And he and I looked at each other and we raised our hands, and we're just like, all right, whatever, we'll do it. And like, I think Jamie Noble was shocked by how fast we volunteered, and so he asked us why, and we're like, well, we're best friends, we trust each other, we'll hit each other harder, like, we don't care. And they're like, all right, cool. And that was just a wild ride throughout that entire time. Like, hearing, I think one of the biggest, like, moments where we're like, oh my gosh, like, people are paying attention to us. Like, we were warming up and just wrestling around, just, like, feeling each other out, just how to feel for what they want. And, of course, they're watching. So you're just saying, they're basically watching us wrestle each other. And eventually, I guess others caught wind, and then all of a sudden, as we're in there just wrestling around and trying to get a feel of, like, is this what they want? Do they want this MMA style look, or do they want this professional wrestling look? Dolph Ziggler walks in, Bobby Lashley walks in, and they're just watching us wrestle each other. And then Shane called it off, we finished, and then Dolph Ziggler just looks at us and just goes, that was pretty good. And I'm like, you're Dolph Ziggler, who has a collegiate, like, incredible collegiate wrestling career, telling me I was pretty good just then. I am not the best wrestler. I'm not a good amateur wrestler in any way. I wrestled 1 year in high school. Yeah. So hearing that from him was very, very humbling and very, very, like, all right, cool, we didn't do that bad.
That is, like, the best salute to get. Because he wasn't just a collegiate wrestler.
It was such a sigh of relief.
He was, like, insane at collegiate wrestling. Which
I think he still holds the record, his records.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
His records, I think it was Kent State, right? I think?
Yeah.
I never remembered.
Man, that is pretty awesome. So then, once you came back, I remember even now, it was just like the main character energy after coming back and hitting the indie scene again. Because that's when I think I met you, right? Was like after your time in WWE, you came over to the HOC.
It was around 2023 or 2024.
Yeah, and during then, what was like, because now we're talking from the indies to getting your time with the Fed, the WWE, which I love calling it the Fed because I heard Jason Ayers call it that one time, and it's the best way to call it.
I have never called it that, but everybody else does.
I love it. I love calling it that. But then going from there to there, and then going back to the independents, how has that been? Like, what's that transition like?
Dude, it's been so much fun. Like, that's the big difference now compared to before, was that, like, the whole point, I feel like, prior to me getting signed was the grind. Like, I needed the grind. I had to grind in order to get to where I wanted. And I got to where I wanted, not in the capacity that I wanted. Obviously, I wanted to wrestle, but, I mean, I got there.
You got the job.
And I didn't like it, and that's why I left.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, coming back was one of those things that I was like, okay, what is the goal this time? Because the first time around, I hit my goal. I got what I wanted, and it wasn't all that it was cooped up to be. So this time it was like, what is the goal? And I know, like, they are looking at guys I always bring up the age conversation because in hindsight, yes, the argument can always be said that there's always guys at the top of the mountain right now. They're all in their 30s and 40s. Sure. That does not mean they're looking at guys in their 30s and 40s because they're looking for longevity. That's why they're looking at kids so young to wrestle and to train and everything. And I don't really, I have a realistic mindset. Like, I have desires to get signed. Who doesn't? But I have no expectations of getting signed. So I'm like, I'm just having fun at this point.
Yeah.
And so that's been my goal. Like, how much fun can I have in a match as possible? How much dumb stuff can I come up with to have an absolute blast? And if somebody finds me, likes me, picks me up, and hands me a contract that's worth it, let's go. And if not, I mean, at least I can say I had a good time doing it.
Yeah, because, I mean, wrestling on the indies, like, obviously, even that word, like, indies, it makes you, like, aspire to be able to be on TV and to get the deal, but it's still very fulfilling to just have these shows that you get to do all the time. I mean, it's a crazy concept that wrestling is as much of a thing in Florida. Like, there's wrestling shows all over the place, all the time, and, yeah, it's awesome. A segue that I think is funny, speaking of young guys, people look at young guys, our boy Danny, is that the only student that he actually goes to your school? So I don't know this for real, but I saw it on the Instagram post leading up to your guys' recent match in the establishment. He is a student at the school that you work for?
Yes, so
that's awesome.
Danny is a student at the high school I work.
That's incredible.
So he is not actually one of my students, but like I just basically claim him as mine because I've known him for so long. Because I knew him prior, because he didn't originally go to the school I work at. He was at a different school and then transferred. But yeah, him and I feel like I've known him for years when it's only been like 1 year. But gosh, I've just been talking about him today, and it's like, how is he so good?
No, yeah, he's insane.
Like, I can't comprehend how just from, it was what, a month or two ago he was facing John Davis, and he's exponentially better in such a short amount of time. I have never, like, I can't wrap my head around how good he has gotten in such a fast amount of time. And he's so humble. Like, he's such a humble kid.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say enough good things about Danny. And it's like, I can't wait to face, like, I just faced him yesterday, and I can't wait to face him again. He's so good.
Yeah, 100%.
And he just keeps getting better. He's just an incredible listener. He takes everything in. And like, that's what and I feel like that's probably what makes him so good, is that he's a sponge. He absorbs everything you tell him.
Yeah. Recently, who I got to get on the podcast too, Daniel Starling, we had him come over to the House of Champions to kind of just like practice around with the guys and stuff like that, because they're at the House of Champions, it's a lot of young guys, like a lot of dudes that haven't even really had their first match on the indies yet.
Yep.
So Starling was kind of just working around with them and having fun. Danny gets there, and so they start going, and they're not saying a word. And Danny's going with Starling. You know what I mean? And they're just having fun. At the end, we start going over moves. And it's like what you're saying with listening and just, he's one of those athletes where he can kind of see something and then do it the first time. Where like me and a lot of other athletes, like we got to walk through this. You know what I mean? Like I gotta like, when I did my first dive out the ring, I had to think about it. I had to walk the ropes a few times. Danny's just like, he just goes.
It's hard to not compare it, but like Danny's just, he's so quick at learning that he reminds me a lot of me when I first started, but at the same time he's grown so much quicker than I did. And you can ask people that were watching me grow is I grew very fast and I learned very fast a lot of things. So, like, it's like you said, you had to practice a few times for dives. My first dive was at a show, and it was just like, let's hope it works out.
I love that.
I had a lot of my beginnings were trial by fire, and it was a lot of sink or swim moments.
Yeah, I have a story with Danny with the trial by fire thing because he does what you call like the Florida comeback, right? Which is like the clothesline, back elbow, clothesline or whatever, which is great. Like it literally works because like you're just kicking ass for like 30 seconds, a minute. You know what I mean? It's great.
Yeah.
When we wrestled, I was like, Danny, I want this match to be like, honestly, it doesn't have to be all this psychology. We're both so young. Let's just have a lot of fun. We just did so many moves in the match we had. It was like a dark match at the end of the House of Champions to give him a scholarship. So I was like, before this, at this point with Danny, he had never done like the dive to the outside, like the corkscrew dive. He never did any springboard moves. And I was like, why don't you just be AJ Styles today? And he was like, okay. And he hit every single beat and did all of those moves for the first time in a match. Like, no practice. And afterwards, I was like, you're the man. Like honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He picks it up so fast. Good, like, oh.
So with wrestling, what was your like earliest memory as a fan of like watching wrestling, like before you even got into the sport?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna twist the question a bit and more so go into the match that got me wanting to wrestle.
Yes.
Which was, I mean, I was a grown ass man at this point, which is even funnier. But it was Cruiserweight Classic, Cedric Alexander, Kota Ibushi.
Oh, that's a good one.
I still go back and watch it, but that was the match that I saw live that I was like, I think I could do this.
Yeah.
And it was one of those that I was like, I want to do this, and that was the whole reason. I got to tell Cedric that, which was really cool, by the way.
That is really
cool.
cool.
That was a really cool moment that I got to like sit with him and be like, hey, your match with Kota Ibushi is the match that inspired me to truly want to become a wrestler. And he was like, I didn't know to do that. I go, it's funnier because him and I are not far apart in age, but I still told him, I was like, it's still great that like he could still even inspire grown ass men about this too.
Is that the match where he got the "Please sign Cedric" chant, or was it another one in that tournament? Because I remember the "Please sign Cedric" chant at the end, where Triple H comes out and just points at him. I'm like, that is probably the greatest reaction you could ever get from a crowd.